everybody. Welcome to the Energy News Beat podcast. My name's Stu Turley, CEO and president of the Sandstone Group. I'll tell you what, got an action-packed show for you. The story thread is amazing. Do you understand what we're trying to talk about here is we've got the Biden administration in this first story coming around the corner, and it is Biden's Gulf of Mexico leasing auction is detrimental to the energy supply. So we have the Biden administration being detrimental to our supply. They have a documented war on energy. It's just not oil and gas. They're costing regulation everywhere. Arctic LNG 2 T1 first LNG drop. This is critical because this is actually the ALNG2, which is the Russian Train 1 project. And it's pretty crazy what's going on with Russia and LNG and how much everybody is still buying of it. Here's one for us that follows along with the Biden administration. Pragmatic, Environmentalist of New York. This one is an opinion piece, and I liked it from the standpoint that this guy has really broken out the climate scientist or the climate act where all of this is coming. And this is actually a very good storyline from the standpoint of legislation through regulatory issues. So we'll go from there and we will go to Europe has almost replaced the Russian gas. This is just crazy. That goes along with the Arctic 2 train coming online. And then there's a strategy building to end Iran's dominance in terrorism, strategy to end Iran's aggression. This one is a little bit of an opinion piece as well, too, but that goes along with the story series from George McMillan that I've been doing, and his article will be in the show note, Pipelines and Global Politics Center of Gravity Alternatives from George McMillan. This is part of our geopolitical series. So I'm not going to go into that too much, but you can find everything on energynewsbeat.co/George McMillan, and that's his landing page. So with that, let's get started in the energy workforce. Biden's Gulf of Mexico leasing auction is detrimental to the U.S. energy supply. Only 3 oil and gas sales are scheduled for the Gulf of Mexico in 2025 and 2027 and 2029. A departure from the previous plan's 11 lease sales. This is critical. When we talk about natural gas, we talk about oil and gas investment and low cost energy. The Gulf of Mexico, great offshore producers do a great job. We have to remind everybody ourselves, the only reason the United States has reduced their carbon footprint is because of lowering lowering the coal usage and increasing natural gas. Natural gas off the Gulf of Mexico is pretty important. You got to have that for LNG. You got to have that for exporting. That goes into the other article with Europe as well. It is all related. The Outer Continental Shelf produces estimated to hold 90 BOE and 300 TFCG. If developed, these could be more than 800,000 American jobs. You know, we always hear about President Biden being for the American workers. Let's pony up. Let's reduce and let's get to carbon net zero, but let's do it using great American energy. So anyway, that was pretty cool article there. Let's head over to Russia and the Arctic LNG 2 T1 first drop. This is the first train in the ALNG2 project. Here's where it is pretty important. Train one operates with only one of the four required LM 9000 gas turbines. That is huge to be able to get those online as soon as possible for Russia. The reason I'm almost happy about that is because it still goes to Europe and helps them out there. Kind of tough. U.S. has got new sanctions coming around the corner. However, we have failed to enforce the sanctions over in Iran. So I don't know that that's really going to mean anything. So let's go to the next one. Pragmatic Environmentalist of New York. This goes along with the Energy Workforce and the Climate Act. This is very important. The Climate Act established New York a net zero to target 85% reduction and 15% offset of emissions. It's carbon tax coming. The carbon tax is just absolutely a sad way to mucky up the waters. I'll cover that on another show. The Climate Action Council is responsible for preparing the scoping plan that details how to achieve the state's bold, clean energy and climate agenda. All that's going to do is not going to hit carbon net zero. It's going to make it worse, and it's going to drive the high price in New York to a higher price. Governor Hochul already said 20% increase in energy this year, 20% next year, and in a few years, 100% increase. I went to Oklahoma State, but that's 140%. So, okay. And this guy has got the entire list out there in the show notes. The environmental impacts, everything about this is a excellent story. Europe has come along, and this article from Geopolitical Futures is an excellent article. I had the good fortune of interviewing George Friedman twice, and George is a class act. I absolutely love his books. He is the founder of politicalfutures.com, and he's also the founder of Stratford Reports. Outstanding geopolitical resource for the United States and the world. Want to give them a shout out. Go to geopoliticalfutures.com, sign up, and it's worth your money to support them. Here's where we've got a chart. And producer Andy, if you could fly this chart in, it's pretty amazing to see how much of the natural gas and, LNG and oil is coming around into and where it's being sold around the world. The new suppliers, the EU has been doing well in filling up its gas and storage facilities before winter, more than 90% of its gas storage. But if it is a cold winter, it is going to be pretty tough. So the U.S. Does fill in a bunch of it, and this is an excellent article. So even though they've filled it, it is at a higher rate. The U.S. is a benefactor. And so that goes into some of the other conversations with George McMillan on that. A strategy to end Iran's aggression. I just want to go on record and say that I do not think the United States needs to go to war anywhere. I am not a fan of war. Lindsey Graham, if you're listening and you'd like to come on this podcast, I would love to talk to you. Threatening to bomb Iran's oil is not a way to enforcing sanctions the way Trump had is the way to do it. Iran under Trump, 350,000 barrels per day production. Under Biden, with all of the sanctions, they are going to be at about, I believe it's 3.4 million barrels per day. Sanctions don't work, and bombing them gets our kids killed. I just want to be clear. I am a humanitarian, and we need to not bomb people. Missiles fired by Yemen's Houthi rebels is really causing a stink around the oil there, around the Red Sea, and it is going to cost the world billions. The supply chain is going to increase. Those stories are on there as well too. But we do not need to have the U.S. bombing this in order to stop it. So I thought this article was a good one. But Hamas is definitely the enemy, and we need to, let Israel do their due diligence and take care of what they need to do. So, with that, I did have the fourth article. We've had the fifth one go out as well, but I want to highlight Pipelines and Geopolitical Center of Gravity Alternatives with George McMillan. This is in the show notes. I'm really not going to go into it right now, but it is crucial for you if you're wanting to know about geopolitical strategies. What appears to be coming to light on war hawks and neocons coming around the corner. I really am enjoying talking to George. He is a geopolitical academic. And I think that George would be absolutely wonderful with George Friedman as an author and an expert in geopolitical. So we've got some fabulous, fabulous interviews coming out. We have 10 podcasts ready to go that the production team has put out. Oil is at right now, because it is going up a little bit due to the I don't understand this right now. At the time I'm recording this, it is 73.94. The US dollar is at 102. It has come down a little bit. Natural gas is at 257, and Brent is at 77.35. So I'm not sure, again, how the pricing is going to work out. You've got years ago, if the Houthis were blowing up ships and all of this was going on, you would have pricing going right on through the roof. As Michael has and I have talked about, you have $90 to $100 oil is what Saudi Arabia really is targeting. They're threatening to cut back supply. But as I have been talking about, the dark fleet, and you have everybody in BRICS, you have Brazil, head of Petrobras in Brazil, saying they're going to pump everything they can. I think the oil and gas pricing matrices are broken. The U.S. and the oil and gas in the U.S., our great producers, are producing more now than they ever have before, even with the handicap of regulations and legislation through regulations. So with that, have an absolutely fantastic day. If you are an energy thought leader, I want to talk to you on our podcast. We're doing fabulous. We're getting great traction. And I love all the feedback, all the questions. And again, just really love talking about energy, elevating humanity out of poverty, and not really liking energy hypocrisy. So with that, have a great day. Reach out to us at any time. And thank you for listening to the Energy News Beat podcast. My name's Stu Turley, and Michael will be back tomorrow. Have a great day.